So Michelle Wright joins the podcast today. Your business, Art Fluent
Art
Creatives.
fluent. Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to kind of chat with you, learn more about your background, your business,
Yeah.
and we were kind of just chatting a little bit about that. But let's start off with just what is Art Fluent Creatives?
Art Fluent is a group of artists that are passionate about art, are passionate about growing their business, passionate about growing. I think one thing that I do in Art Fluent that's a little bit different maybe is I encourage everybody to build their own businesses as well as all focus together on our shared projects. So I try to come up with ways to create projects or opportunities where everybody can kind of flow in their own lane and find their
Hmm.
own, niches and find their own things that they enjoy so they could build their own brand and their own name. And then we all come together to work together on the big stuff, the big heavy
Hmm.
duty stuff. So
It's so like when you were describing it just then,
yeah,
it just kind of reminded me of like a tattoo shop.
very similar,
Yeah,
very
right.
similar.
Like you have the structure and
Yep.
the whatever, and
I would guess maybe minus some of the assumed non-compete type of thing because I wouldn't ever want to stop. Like I think in the tattoo world, there may be some element, maybe in some cases, maybe not all. I'm not as
yeah,
familiar
yeah,
of, if you're gonna tattoo here, you tattoo here, but you can kind of do your own thing, but don't go to the other shop, stay here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess with us, I really encourage everybody to kind of whatever in their free time and their time that's not on joint projects, whatever you do, you do. I'll promote everything I can to, for your own separate stuff. And there's
Hmm.
never a don't do business with them over there, Like,
Mhm.
there's never an
Yeah,
element of that or
yeah.
anything like that.
So more collaborative,
Yeah.
and just supportive.
Yeah.
Where does that idea come from for you or just, like, that mindset?
It's, well, a couple of things. So, in starting my business independently, I've wanted to be an artist my whole life, never quite saw a feasible opportunity to do so just in, the whole starving artist stigma, right? So,
Mhm.
how am I grew up in New York, and in New York, if you don't make six figures you're pretty much it's a hard life, right? So,
Yeah.
how am I gonna make six figures out of, an art career, and how many people have to buy a canvas from me or a painting from me? Like, that's a
To
lot of
make that money,
paintings,
yeah.
like, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
So, it's always been something that to me was unreachable. So, when I was younger and going to school, like, my family couldn't believe I didn't go to art school, but for me, it seemed like a waste of time at that point to be able to hit the type of salary I wanted. The only thing that I could think in New York to make art make sense is, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go for graphic design so I can get a job at a firm in Manhattan,
Mm.
and that life will get me the money I want, and that's not the life I want, so, okay, what else do we got? So, I never really pursued art at that time.
So what'd you go
Um,
to school for?
Psychology.
Okay.
Yeah, totally different.
Okay.
Ended up, not finishing school. I got a job at Geico and it made a whole lot more money than the 25 bucks a week my mom was sending me to be away at school, so, and God bless her for even doing that,
Yeah.
but it was, once I started making a couple of bucks, I was like, "I kinda like that." I've been
Mhm.
working since I'm 13. I've never not had a job. I guess now I can say I don't have a boss, but I've never not had a job since I'm 13. Making money is just kinda in me, so
Mhm.
being away at school was really against the grain to not work and just to focus on anything but work was
Mhm.
kinda odd for me. So in any case, I along the way of my insurance career, I had 15 years in insurance. I'd run, insurance agencies. I sold life insurance. I worked throughout all the different departments of Geico and kind of mastered, so to speak, the different, departments and the different angles. I was kind of this very well-rounded insurance agent. I can kinda take that in different places. And, all the while I would do whether it be a craft fair in the cafeteria around holiday time, or it would be somebody just always saw me doodle in my cubicle, so they say, "Hey, I need to make a little something for a gift. Do you do that?" And to me, it was a couple $100 here, a couple 100 there, and it was
Yeah.
good
A little
enough to
extra
kind
money.
of, yeah, scratch the art itch, as it would come to be, and then in between, I focused on sales and focused on my corporate career.
Yeah.
And come COVID came, quarantine happened, it was March of 2020, and, I fell down a YouTube wormhole of sneaker customizing, and that was the one thing I hadn't touched yet. I had painted, I had done murals, I had made jewelry lines, I had painted furniture. I mean, I kinda did a little bit of everything. And the sneakers, and I love sneaker culture and the whole thing, so that came to me and I was like, "Ooh." My little thing started going, and, I started collecting sneakers from everyone around me. "Who's got white sneakers?" Somebody bring them to me.
Okay.
And before you know it, so I was basically practicing, really just having fun with it. And by October, November of 2020, I was like, "I'm getting kinda good at this thing." Like, maybe I'm always used to having my art business as a side gig. I put a name on it. I had Michelle Sasha Designs for a long time, Michelle Sasha Jewelry. Like I always had it as like a side business, but nothing I focused all of my time
100%
on.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So, over COVID and doing that, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll make this another new little side gig. Like it's lighting
Yeah,
my fire. I have ADHD. Sometimes I'm like all in on something. Sometimes I'm totally out. In this
yeah,
case, I was all in. So
okay.
like maybe I'll make it an Instagram. I'll make the Instagram, see if I can get any traction. If I have one or two people every so often hit me up for a pair of sneakers, couple $100, it was good with me. So I ended up launching that in December of 2020. And from there, let's see, by January, I had done my first dozen pairs. I sent a pair out to New Zealand and California, and I'm sending sneakers
All
everywhere now
through f just from Instagram.
just from Instagram.
Okay, cool.
I have found hashtags are a thing.
Yeah,
Apparently,
yeah.
they are effective. And especially in the sneaker culture, they're like, if you just put custom sneakers on a tag, I mean, my stuff would blow up to thousands and thousands of views like very rapidly. I mean, it would happen in like an hour and it would like be crazy. But I got really busy doing that. And now
And so how do you paint the how do you is it like paint? Is it a
it
pen or
is, it's a totally different process. So all throughout quarantine, not only was I just practicing and like doing it creatively,
yeah.
I must have watched I'd have to say at least 50 to 100 videos of other
Mhm.
sneaker customizers to learn the process. And you have to sand down the sneaker first. You sand down the finish, like almost to where you see, like, you can't see the white, like on a pair of Air Forces. Like, if you take all the white off, you're golden.
Oh, wow.
And then you sand it down, you acetone it. You could then paint it with leather paint. It's a very specific leather paint. And you can seal it. The sealing is less than the important as compared to the prepping. The prepping, as long as you get that. So that's so I learned all the details.
Yeah.
You have to heat set every layer and say, I mean,
So it takes some time to do.
I had a good 20, 25 hours in on a lot of the pairs I did.
Oh,
And
wow.
you're charging, I mean, 200, 300. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
it's more of
Yeah.
a passion project than it is
Yeah.
paying the bills by any means. But I got very busy nonetheless. And by March, I mean, I always talk about it where I have this like art flame that lives in me. And sometimes it's like a little pilot light in the oven. It's just dormant there. I don't need to paint, keep the paint away from me. It's dirty. And then sometimes that flame starts getting bigger and I
Mhm.
need to paint. Give me something quick. I got to paint. I got to draw. I got something. And that's what it was like. My flame was on fire. Like all I could think about was
Mm.
painting. And now, meanwhile, upholding a job, like we were all working from home at that time. And now I had my craft desk and I had my work desk and I was working from 8:30 to 4:30 or 8:30 to 5. And the second 5 o'clock hit, I was over to the craft desk and I'm cranking out orders.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to sleep until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and then get a couple hours, get back to the desk and then back to the other desk. And
Yeah.
it was crazy. My family thought I was manic for a while. I was going nuts. Like I was short on the phone. I wasn't because I was just so in this, like, everyone get out of my way. I was
I
like a
wanna paint. I
tornado in
wanna
my
yeah.
yeah, and it was so fulfilling to have this new art thing. I moved down to Florida in 2015, and when I moved down, I hadn't touched a paintbrush until that point. Like, I was so focused on my sales in my,
Oh, wow.
insurance career.
So
So
after school,
yeah.
you're focused on sales
Yep.
until 2015. You moved down to
Well,
Florida.
between that time, so I graduated in '03 in high school, and between that time, I always had art, a little here, a little there, a little craft fair. Those things all took place until I moved down to Florida. Then I was just all in on my insurance career and kind of building that.
Mm.
So it was literally from 2015 to 2020 that I hadn't touched a paintbrush. So it was the type of thing that once this fire lit up in me, I couldn't see anything else. I couldn't focus on work. I couldn't focus on anything.
Yeah.
And, like I said, my family was like, "What is up with you? We can't even call and say hi." And you're like, "What do you want? Get off the phone." Like,
I'm
it was
busy.
crazy. "Yeah, I'm busy. I got stuff to do. You need something? Call me later." And, everybody just, they were like, "What is up with her?" So it became a thing where, I started to evaluate, like, maybe this is this time in my life where this thing I've wanted all my life that I thought I could never touch an art career, like, I just like, am I here? Am I in this moment? Like, my gut tells me I'm in the moment. Logistically, I'm not. I'm selling $200 sneakers. The sneakers can't pay the bills. So
Mhm.
how am I going to translate this into real life and then
Mhm.
be successful and then like try to really make some money? And it was probably a week after I started having thoughts of, you know what, maybe this is my time. I'm feeling it. I'll take 6 months to a year. I'll make a really concerted effort to put some money away And in like 6 months, I should have enough money put away that I could like try this art thing. I'm
Mhm.
gonna really do it. And I'm like having these mirror talks, right? Where I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it might be a week later after that first, set of thoughts. My boss calls me. He's like, "You're always at the top of the sales charts." He's like, "You're always like through the roof. What's up?" He's like, "Your numbers they're tanking. Like, what is happening with you?"
Uh,
And in that moment, my immediate answer, and mind you, like days earlier, I'm thinking, okay, in 6 months I'll quit. In
yeah,
6
yeah,
months,
give yourself
what's going on with you? Where are your sales numbers at? And I say, you know what? I'm just not focused. I quit. And I hung up the phone and I like, what did I just do?
Oh
Like,
my
what just happened?
goodness.
I'm the only one paying my rent. I'm the only one paying my bills. I just tossed away my income. What now? Like I couldn't believe I did it, number one. And because I've never quit a
I
job
was
without
it
having something lined up. I've never had a gap in employment. Like it was so foreign to me. Like I almost got off the phone with him, was like, who took over my body?
yeah.
But it was just, I was feeling it. So I didn't tell a soul, my closest friends and family. I didn't tell anybody for about a week and a half because I knew that I know that I'm impressionable. My emotions are impressionable at times. And if my mom and my family's gonna call me excited, oh, now I'm excited too. Yeah, you're right. I did the right thing. Or conversely, what the hell's wrong with you? What
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
do? And now I'm nervous. So I kept everybody away from me in this decision for about a week and a half so I could like sit with it. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face for this week. Like it's so against the grain of like there's so much uncertainty.
But you were so excited about it.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know again who took over my body, but I quit. I did it. I finally told everybody. And there was some hesitancy. There was some like, you sure? Like, are you
Yeah.
sure we're doing this?
Did you ever think about calling him back and be like, wait,
No,
that
at
was a
no
mistake?
point. At no
No.
point.
No.
And
Okay.
meanwhile, it was such an opportunity. And it was, it's kind of like the universe really tested me because my whole life in insurance has all been leading up to, okay, one day the way I'm going to make my real success money is I'm going to own an agency and I'll have an agency. I've been preparing for this life forever. I've run agencies. I've been the office manager of several, hiring, doing. And now, just a couple months prior is me having an opportunity to start my own agency and start my own satellite location. So when I quit, it was in this conversation of having, okay, like we're going to move you into your own location. You're going to build a sales team. This is the thing I've been waiting for my whole life.
Wow.
And a month into that, I was like, I quit. Bye. I don't know. And so, like I said, so it wasn't just crazy to have done that in the moment. It was crazy because I had this thing that I thought I really wanted at my fingertips and gave that up for this art thing that
Did
always felt uncertain.
Yeah. Did you like so you're a month into that new agency or
Yeah,
new location? Was there thoughts of like, oh yeah, this isn't what I thought it was, and you think
that
that's what
helped.
led? Yeah.
That helped a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah.
So it was, I was used to holding a position of a more managerial, managing and helping people in the sales side of insurance and things like that as being an office manager. And in this role, they gave me an opportunity to start the agency, but I kind of had to start from scratch. I had to build the book and I had to call people for auto quotes, which is one of my lower, it's on the lower end of the list of things I
Yeah.
hate like doing. So,
Yeah.
so it helped that I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing. And I was like, in my mind prior to signing up for this opportunity, I said, it's just going to be a couple months of this like grunt work of the stuff that I used to do that I don't like. It'll be worth it though to get the agency going.
Yeah.
But now that I had my little art flame going, my art flame was just like eating that concept alive.
Yeah.
It
Like
was
this
like,
is
nope,
terrible.
not today. Yeah, this is not what we
Yeah.
want. Um, so I quit and I quit. The craziest part when I look back is I quit without a plan. Like I quit not only in the moment, obviously there was no plan, but I quit without even knowing what I would want this art thing to even look like. Like I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know that I wanted to do murals at that point. I'd only just been doing sneakers and I was doing some paint parties on the side too, like paint and sip parties. And at that point, I mean, again, looking back, it's like not only was there no preparation, but there was no like plan or goal to meet the goal and know that I
Yeah.
succeeded or
Yeah.
something. I had Ubered a little bit and drove for Uber just to make a little side money. And I knew right after quarantine, I was making a lot of money on the side. Because a lot of people weren't driving and a lot of people still needed their Ubers and things like that. So I was making a good amount of money doing that. So in my mind, while I figure out what I want this career to be, I'll at least know that I could Uber, get my bills paid, and whatever little gigs or whatever little paths of art I could find myself on will lead me to where I'm supposed to be. And I just had this utmost faith. Again, in hindsight, the amount of calculation that went in was nil. And it was just all on the faith that this is this thing I've been waiting for my whole life, you
Yeah.
know? So, and it, I mean, luckily worked. So that was March of 2020. My agreement I made with myself is if in 6 months I'm still Ubering, I'm doing something wrong. We're getting the resume out again to the insurance companies and
I'm
we're
going
going
back.
back to square. Like,
Yeah.
we need to go back to certainty. We can't like live crazy. This is nuts. And throughout those first 6 months, I was Ubering. I made enough money. I was making enough, but not where I wanted to be. Things were still tight. But I needed Uber. Uber was not somebody I could remove. And I'm doing a little mural job here, canvas over here, little paint parties. Like it was enough that I was like gaining some type of momentum and focusing my efforts in the art.
Yeah.
But sure enough, 6 months came and I'm now putting my resume back together and
Oh,
feeling
wow.
defeated as hell. I mean, again, it's this thing I've been wanting my whole life. I took this chance on myself and made a deal. And now I got to pay up. Now I got to go back to insurance.
Yeah.
And I was actually driving through Dunedin one day, Ubering, and I'm noticing all the oranges everywhere. And I know there's a really talented artist, Steven. I never say his last name right, but he's a very talented artist that he started these oranges in Dunedin 10, 15 years ago. And as I'm looking around at the oranges, I'm like, this guy's so smart. You know, he's like, if anybody thinks of an art thing, they think, oh, call the orange guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I started asking around a couple people that I knew they're kind of prominent in the town and chamber of commerce, things like that. And I had started asking, you know, what do you know about this orange guy? You know, I tried getting in touch with him. I haven't been in touch with him yet. I've reached out a few times, but I'm trying to understand this. Like, was this a project or was this, how did these oranges come to be and why is
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
none anywhere else but
Anywhere else is
Dunedin?
Dunedin. Yeah.
So again, that's why I reached out to him, try to like understand it. The answer I got was that it's strictly to Dunedin. It's from
Which is odd, right? Because it's not like Dunedin was the only city that
they
had
had orange
oranges.
groves. Yeah, there were orange groves everywhere.
All
So,
over.
but whatever
Yeah.
the case, like no judgment, right? It's,
Yeah.
whatever it was, it was. I had a handful of people tell me, yeah, we've been asking for oranges in Palm Harbor, but it's strictly Dunedin. We can't get any over here. So I'm like,
Interesting.
well, how convenient. So, so in talks, I think, how do I'll never want to step on somebody's toes.
And do like the same thing. Yeah.
I would never do the same thing. And I'm never going to go do oranges now in Palm Harbor or something like that, just to like, it certainly wouldn't be competing if he doesn't want to do them here or something like that. But how do I take this concept and make it my own? And that really came from the thought of me being in sales my whole life. I know that if you put somebody in front of me, we could talk it up, chop it up.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to a place of doing the right thing by both people. And I needed a way to not just post up a picture of what I've painted on Facebook maybe or something like that and hope people called me. I really wanted to meet the community. I wanted to become a staple of the community. That was my goal, is to become a staple of the community. And when you drive through St. Pete, for example, and there's murals everywhere, I was always so envious. Like I love Palm Harbor. I love living here. I've lived here since I moved down. But that was the thing I was missing. Like St. Pete is always this like, oh, God, I would love to be around all this art.
Creative.
It's like so like the whole environment is crazy. And God, I would love for that to be up here. So how do I become a staple of the community and bring that feel up here?
Where does that idea come from? Like just being a part of the community instead of just, I just want to create art.
I think knowing that with an art career, Facebook was I wasn't on Facebook for years prior. I was so all the unnecessary chatters and things and stuff. I stayed off Facebook for a long time. So it's very against my grain for most of my business to come from Facebook. And the thought for bringing that up here and trying to immerse myself in the community was really just knowing that if you have a community that backs you, the sky is the limit. You could then reach out to the town. Hey, can I put a mural over here? And now you have a name and now you have things. So it's really just this desire to like build this business that's scalable, and in order to do that, you have to find better marketing avenues than just kind of posting the picture and hoping people
just
look
like
at
everybody
it,
else. Right.
So just trying to do something different, and again, my claim to fame in sales is just get me in front of them. Just get me in front of them and we'll be able to talk. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't. But if it does, I'll find a way to make it.
Right.
So lo and behold, so I go home and I call my mom and I'm like, I have an idea. I was like, tell me if this is crazy. Like, how do I do this? Because my mom, she's ran several law firms and she's not sales business. She's not a salesperson, but she's savvy in business. So I give her this idea. I'm like, I need to find a way to get into the community like this. Me trying to find, because to this point, I should say, in those first 6 months of trying this business, it's all word of mouth referrals. So how do I beef up my word of mouth referrals? I
Mhm.
need that to exponentially increase. So, so I call her one night and I'm like, the oranges and things, and like he doesn't come over here, I heard. And what if I did a palm tree for Palm Harbor and I just like offered them out and maybe I'll make them like 30, $40 and I'll just, and she was like, no, you gotta do them for free. I was like, yeah, you do have to do them for free. And
Yeah.
knowing that, I mean, listen, so I've done about 500 to date.
Wow.
It was a lot. And I would
And you
say
just in Palm Harbor, right?
only Palm Harbor.
Okay.
Um, I've done about these 500, and out of the 500, there might have been maybe 15 that somebody didn't give me a tip or something, or
Mm.
maybe only gave me a
Mhm.
couple bucks or
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
Most people are so generous and so grateful, and 20, 40, some people just handed me 100. I was there 15 minutes. Threw
Mhm.
up the palm tree. And what I realized out of that, I think the biggest lesson that I learned, or the biggest nugget that I got out of it, was for everybody that I met, not only were they very grateful for doing such a kind gesture, right? But it was more, I got this feeling like art was like brand new to them. Like almost
Mm.
everybody I met was like, oh my God, I can't believe I have an artist here.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
if you do that in St. Pete, it's like Tuesday. You got an
Yeah.
artist on every corner painting. It just feels normal. So the thing I started realizing is, wow, this is a community that like is hungry for art. They're
Mm.
hungry for it. Everybody I met, I would walk up and I'll meet, Bob and Mary, and Bob's like, my wife has been talking about you for the last 2 weeks, waiting for you to come. Like, I couldn't believe, truly, like to this day, I still can't believe how much excitement came from these palm trees and
Yeah.
comes from and it's so cool. It's like, it's kind of a FOMO thing, everybody kind of wants to be in with it. Now we have this town logo. Everybody's getting one. Oh, I want one too. I want to be on
Mhm.
the,
Mhm.
so it worked out beautifully. I met so many phenomenal people. I mean, I think that was the other, like, the coolest thing about this is I met my community. I moved down again in 2015. I worked in a Dimmitt Insurance, in fact, so I drove 6 minutes over there every day, back and forth.
Mhm.
But I didn't have much immersion into the community I was in. There wasn't much but going into the stores or things like that. So now I really felt like I was like meeting the people. I'm like, oh, this is such a cool, eclectic place. Everybody, I mean, I'm from New York on Long Island. You have like your perfect siding and your perfect homes, and nobody's painting a palm tree on the front of their house. Like that
Yeah.
just didn't exist. So it was just so cool to meet the community, and everybody like with open arms was just so gracious and so supportive. I mean, when I first launched it, I put it in Palm Harbor Happenings. Anybody want a free palm tree? I think the post went a little something like, hey, we all know the Orange Project, very talented artist. He does these
Mhm.
oranges. I know we've been wanting them for a long time. I've got an alternative. We're going to do
Mhm.
something different. I have a free palm tree for anybody who wants one. And I had 100 people sign up within 45 minutes. My phone was like, bing, 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 bing. Like it
Dang.
was off the hook. Like I remember calling my mom after like, yo, it's working.
Yeah.
Like now, how do I do
Because
this?
you have to
So,
do it for free, right? Like,
and now that's for free. So it's like, now I have demand. I haven't done any, so I don't know the graciousness, funny, like I don't
yeah.
know if anybody's going to pay me
Like, is
for
this
it or
gonna
not.
work,
Like
right?
I knew it was going to work because I was going to meet the community. That's the goal. But like, how do I find the time to do that and still keep my money making things
Yeah.
in action? Because I
Yeah.
can't count on that for money. It's free. And then within the next couple days, I mean, I had like 200 at that point after just a couple days.
Yeah.
So now I have a spreadsheet full of people. As I mentioned, I'm like super ADHD. And I'm looking at this list and now I'm like, how do I tackle this? Where do I even start? Like Palm Harbor's big. Like how many can I get to a day? I still need to. It took me a few weeks to just recalibrate and try to figure out like a plan of attack. I didn't
Mm.
want to just do it, off the cuff. I wanted to like really have a plan and really figure out how to do it right. And finally I figured out how to do it. I imported the spreadsheet onto Google Maps. I got little pinpoints of where all the
Oh, there you go.
neighborhoods were. So I said, okay, this week we're doing here and this week we're doing here, and
Cool.
started doing that. That plan fell to the wayside because things got a little more hectic, but it at least started me on a trajectory of
Yeah.
being able to like tackle this
It's such a
monster.
it's such a great idea because I think a lot of small businesses or people just starting out in business could do something like that, right? Not, just offer something of value for free that's
Absolutely.
simple and
Yeah.
just to be able to meet people.
It's, are you familiar with BNI?
Yes.
So I'm in a BNI group,
Yep.
and the thing that led me to BNI was the motto "Givers Gain." It's very much my motto. You give something,
Yeah.
you'll get back tenfold,
Yeah.
and you have to mean it
This
though.
is so this book right here, Go
The Go Giver,
Giver.
yep,
Yeah.
there
It's
you
a
go,
similar
exactly.
concept. Yeah.
That, but you have to mean it, right? You can't
Right.
just
Right.
give and like, "Hey guys, I'm giving something out for
Yeah.
free," and then you get them, after. It really has to be the purpose is like really genuinely, I wanted to give these palm trees out, and if I didn't make a dollar, I was still just as happy
Yeah.
to meet everybody. So what ends up happening is not only do I get to meet everybody and see the excitement, but now one out of every 2 to 5 people are, "Ah, I'm so glad I met you. I've been wanting to do something in my backyard.
Yeah.
Hey, do you do bathrooms? And hey, do you do canvases? Hey, I got this box over here. I need somebody to paint something on it. Do you do that?" And before
Cool.
you know it, I mean, like I said, maybe 1 or 2 out of every 5 people had some type of project going, or
Wow.
and now things are moving quickly. So now you have the excitement of this palm tree project, and I have to keep that moving because it's my prospecting, it's my canvassing.
Hmm.
And then I have how busy it was getting. And now I have all these new projects, and I want to talk about chicken without a head. I don't even know where I was during those months. Like it was
Yeah.
from September when I launched it to about February, it was just pure chaos. Like nobody bothered me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dinner. I have things to do. And, by February, March, I wrapped up about those 500. I just made my once I started seeing that money was coming in from it, I could count on a few $100s a day if I can get really quick, and I think my best day, I did 15 in one day.
Okay.
Even just traveling to 15 different homes and
Yeah.
not doing anything and just stepping in the driveway and leaving, it will take hours.
Yeah.
Palm
Right.
Harbor is big when you get to East Lake, and then if you go all the way to Crystal Beach and
Yeah.
you kinda cruise around, it's a large area. So sometimes I'll have an appointment over here, and then 20 minutes away, I got another appointment, supposed to be in 5, and I'm jackassing around like, "Hey, can I switch you around? Can I switch you to 4? Can I do" and this is all on the fly. Like, I have never I mean, like I said, I have ADHD. I currently don't medicate, but when I did and I was on medication, like that's how you feel. That you're just like a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
It was very natural medication. It had my motor running all day long. But it got me very busy. And then the other cool part is after every day of doing the palm trees, or daily or weekly, depending on how busy, I would post up. I would take a selfie with every single person I did the mural with. We took a selfie
Mm,
in
mm.
front of the palm tree, and then I would post those on Palm Harbor Happenings. And that's where the FOMO started to come in, and now everybody wants one. That I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
those posts were like 500 comments deep, and I was just like, "What is happening?" Like, it just felt crazy, and now people are recognizing me out, which is
Yeah.
unexpected, to be, like, in public. So, like, "Oh, you're the palm tree lady." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I
Yeah.
guess so." And, it was just cool, and it was a whirlwind. So I ended my 500 or so, let's say, let's call it March. So that traction that I had built up, by June, I was now booked out 3 months, booked a mural a
For
week.
the palm trees or just
For
okay.
palm trees now took a
Okay.
I stopped promoting the palm trees as heavily so that I
Yeah.
can continue the projects and the real money making stuff.
Yeah.
And, like I say, by June, I had a mural a week and booked out for 3 months. And
That's awesome.
it was awesome and super overwhelming because how is just one person with just one painting hand? I only got one little hand that can
Yeah.
paint, and
Yeah.
it's hot and there's a lot to do. And some of these jobs, they're scheduled for a week, but realistically, I mean, I would like 2 weeks maybe for some of those, and so now I'm like, man, I need help. Like I need to hire somebody. And I ended up putting a post out. My first thought was, how do I, at this point, I'm doing everything by myself. So how do I promise somebody enough time? How do I know that I'll have enough work for them to
Mm.
leave a job to come work with me? And if you're not going to leave a job, then I need multiple people that I can kind of fit in as needed.
Mhm.
You're on call. Hey, can you know you can? Okay, I can call this one. And
Mhm.
so my first thought was to kind of make a team of younger artists. Like I really wanted to encourage younger artists. My whole story starts from I love art. It's in every bone in my body. And I
Mhm.
never sought it out because it just felt impossible. So for me, the concept of just like diving into the young 16, 17, 18s that
To kind of just
are thinking
inspire
about
them.
college
Yeah.
and they're like, man, I wish I can go to art school. What am I going to do in art school? How's this
Mhm.
going to be a career? And so many people have that sentiment. So I'm like, let me gear towards them and they could be my mentees. They could be my assistants. Hopefully they don't have too much of a demanding schedule, especially at that point. It's June, school's out. So I'm figuring, who doesn't want some easy work?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun work. I mean, half the time people do it for free, like
Yeah.
everybody, for most of the people I've spoken to, I was like, I would do this for free. It's like, well, luckily I pay you.
Yeah.
But, so I got a response back from about 30 girls on that first shot. I put out a post on Facebook. And then that was overwhelming because I'm like, all right, how am I going to do this? How do
When you
I
choose,
I got to choose. I have to vet them. I have to make sure they could keep up. Is it going to be more of a hindrance than a help for me to have to train all these new people randomly for different projects? How do I find, so there was just so much to it. And again, my brain needs to have a very clear, defined
yeah.
path before I could just jump into something. So,
Except for the art, when you just jumped right into like quitting your
except for the
job.
art, yeah, go figure. That was a whole different thing. That leads with a different part of me.
Yeah.
That's just a whole different thing. That my brain needs organization. My heart is where my art is, and my heart
Yeah.
is just dive right in.
So I want to ask you, like,
Yeah.
when you have that many projects,
Mhm.
right, as an artist, does like the creativity, does it become hard and difficult to be creative in that sense? Or
I love that you asked that because that actually it's one of the other reasons why I never jumped into art. Like most artists, I would say 99.999 out of 100 will be overly critical, hate a lot of what they do while the rest of the world is clapping, and not feel like they've really hit the mark that they want to hit. So it becomes a very stressful environment. When I was young and I was painting and things, I understood like how frustrated I would get when I couldn't quite get the piece, the project right where I wanted it. And I'd feel frustrated and then I wouldn't finish it and I would start something else.
Mhm.
So that train of thought told me that there's no way I'm going to be able to do this and put a dollar amount on it because now I'm going to grow to hate this thing that I now have to be dependent on. I can't enjoy it. And that was a part of it. So as
Mm.
far as the creativity side, I was actually very surprised by kind of where I land today because with that mindset back then, I felt like I had to be perfect to even think to put a dollar figure on this and depend on it. Where I am now is, I mean, I do a little bit of everything. I could be doing graffiti one day, logos the next, a sunset, some realism over here. Like we do so many different things. I was just so excited that it was working. So the passion
Mm.
behind being excited that this business model that I was planning for is working was keeping the engine running. But there are certainly times where it's like another sunset. Okay, I'll do another
Mm.
sunset and just be
Mhm.
excited about it,
Mhm. Yeah.
And there were those times, but you're still so grateful for the opportunity that feeling is like fourth, fifth, sixth to all the excitement feelings.
Mhm.
So it gets me through. And then the other side of it too, as an artist, some people may, feel the same way, some may not. But there are some artists, like many of the artists in St. Pete, they have a very clear, defined style. Yeah, you could spot so and so's mural anywhere. You could put 100 murals in front of me. I'll know exactly which one's his. I'll know exactly which one's hers because people have these defined styles. I'm so envious of that. I wish I had that very clear, defined style and thing. And only recently have I really started to really appreciate that I don't have a style. Now, the
Mm.
people that work with me, they're like, Michelle, you have a style. I don't see it. Many people say I do. I think my style and techniques is one thing, but like a really characterized style is something I don't have. But now I've grown to love it because while if you have this one style, you have to hope you get enough people that want your one
That
style.
style, yeah.
But if I can do anything, then I could do anything.
Yeah.
And if I make a team of 10 of us that each could do anything, but we all kind of like one thing in particular, now I've got specialists of all different things and people that could do
Yeah.
anything. And now we could tackle everything,
Yeah.
you know?
That's why I circle back to like the tattoo shop, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like they each have,
Yep.
when I had Legendary Tattoos, Mitch on,
Oh,
he
they're
was
great.
like,
Yeah.
that's what he was saying. He's like, I have one artist that does like
Mhm.
this technique or
Yep.
this style, right? And another one
Line
that does
work, the
this.
the classic American tattoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much like that. I've gotten to a point where I know my girls well enough that I have a certain mural that comes in and I jump on
You
the
know
phone. I've got one for
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
You want this one? Listen to what they
Yeah.
want. They start
Yeah.
salivating, it's like, ooh, another
Yeah.
Monstera leaf,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And so now circle back to that summer where I just started getting busy. I have this spreadsheet of girls to try to get help. I end up calling one of them. This is Meredith, who now works with me now. And she had come and work for me, but she was in band camp, so she had other obligations too. And I worked with her one day, and I was like, "Oh, awesome! Like my first person I hit, she's great. She's really sweet. She did a great job, but she had other obligations, and I can't count on her regularly. Okay, this plan of having these, multiple people is not going to be it. I need to find one person." So while I'm stressing about this, because it was literally, again, beginning of June, where I have I can't take a day to even think. I have to make sure
Yeah.
everything stays on
Yeah.
track. Like I can't let one thing fall short or the next 15 projects fall short.
Yeah.
So I go to my mom's house. My sister comes over and we're having a powwow. My sister's owned a business for a couple of years now. She owns Smith and Main Hair Studio in Palm Harbor also.
Oh, okay.
And her having run a business, my mom having run in several, like how do I do this? My brain was like all over the place. So in the middle of me freaking out, my sister's like, "Well, as a matter of fact, this girl just hit me up in my DMs the other day. This younger girl, she's in Palm Harbor, lives right by the salon. And she's an artist that asked me if I need a mural." I had just painted a mural in Morgan's salon. So Morgan was like, "Of course I don't need a mural." I told her I'm okay.
The
She doesn't know who you are, of course, but she goes, "Why don't you call her? She seems like really like a go-getter." And I loved that. Me being a sales go-getter type, I'm
Yeah.
comfortable walking anywhere and stick my hand out and shake a hand. So I met her right away, and, for the work that she had done, at that point, it didn't parallel a lot of the work that I typically do. So my first thought was, "Okay, well, we'll have to see if our art styles are aligned first, but I'll give her a shot." The hustle is the first thing I see beyond anything else in most situations. So, she helped me out on a mural, and the rest is history. This little Cheyenne, she now runs the Palm Harbor Palm Tree Project, because now after we got the summer and our craziness out of the way, started Art Flow, and I said, "I'd really love to bring this palm tree project back. Like, I would hate for this thing that I started to just
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I started this thing." So, I said, "Why don't you do it now?" So now she does it. Cheyenne, she is, first of all, she is so talented, and she is such a badass. She is this little 5 foot nothing, but she's got the biggest spirit and the biggest drive. Like I've never met a person, adult, more driven and down. I
Mhm.
mean, we were doing during that summer of like these back to back, like being so busy, we'd be working 2 jobs at a time. We'd be working 14, 15, 16-hour days, leaving places at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 8, going to the next one, and running around like lunatics.
Yeah.
And she was down. Every time I'd be like, "All right, you wanna go home? I know you're tired." She's like, "I'm not tired. I never sleep. I'm good. Let's keep going." And, like, she would keep me going, and listen, I'm 38 years old. It's not easy to keep my motor running for 18 hours straight,
Yeah.
but her energy is contagious, and she is a probably the biggest reason why my business has turned into what it is without having the confidence. I mean, besides the fact that she's talented, all the other stuff that goes along with it, if you can't have somebody that you can count on, that whether in a bind or whether you just need somebody to help you get this thing finished because we got to start a new one tomorrow, I need
Mhm.
the person that'll be there no matter what. She
Mhm.
never took a sick day, never. I mean, we had our times where we'd take off, but she would never, there was never a time where she flaked in a moment that I
Mhm.
needed her. And in fact, anytime I needed her, when it was like, "Okay, today's rest day," and then I'd call her like, "All right, I know you said it was rest day, but we got this thing and I forgot it." She's, "All right, I'll be there in 10 minutes." Like,
Yeah.
and to have that on your side, I tell her almost every single day that she single-handedly really changed my life, because
Yeah.
without that type, because anybody else I could have hired could have been months worth of training, months worth of understanding how to, but there's a lot about intuition and just good work habit, knowing how to talk to people that like is just innate within people. And if it's not there, it's hard to teach. She just had all of it.
Yeah.
So it was just easy. I felt like I just had another little me that with way more energy,
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
it was
Younger and way
perfect.
more energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like I think every business at some point you
Yeah.
need that, right?
Oh God.
You
Yeah.
need that extra
Hmm.
hands, extra person,
Yeah, for sure.
just collaboration and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the I had a couple questions I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
What's like your biggest I was gonna say biggest mural completed. Let's do that one
Biggest
first.
mural completed is the one that I'm finishing tomorrow. So we've done lots of big cool projects, but biggest square footage wise, we just finished up this is a really cool story actually. This is a mural for an apartment complex that's right next door to USF. So it's an apartment complex that caters mostly to students. And they asked me to do something new with the front of their it's an 800 square foot wall.
Mhm.
And I've gotten to the point now that I have a pretty decent team. I want everybody to start learning how to design in all different types of things. Like, I don't want to just call on the flower girl for the flower stuff. I want everybody to start practicing everything.
Yeah.
So when we're coming up with renderings to pitch to a client, so anyway, I have everybody send me ideas. I don't the client wasn't sure what he wanted. He just said, this is our demo. Think of something cool. Send me a couple of ideas. We'll figure it
Mhm.
out from there. So I didn't know what direction to go, but I know if we got everybody on board, we'd come up with some cool stuff. So Meredith, the first girl that I worked with that first time, who now started working with us again, of course, she designed this mural. She came up with the most beautiful design. The
Cool.
client loved it. It's her first design on a wall,
Crazy.
and it's our biggest one. And she's going to USF in the spring.
Oh,
So
that's
she gets to
awesome.
go there and be like, "Hey, why don't we take this road home later,
Yeah.
and I'll show you a little something I did." So I mean, I get no greater joy. I don't have kids, but it's very much like the proud mama, like
Mhm.
when I'm in a situation where Cheyenne is running around doing the palm trees. Part of the beauty of this palm tree project is that you're picking up little projects as you go. Hey, I have
Mhm.
this little statue
Mhm.
outside. It needs to be repainted, $200. Hey, I have a mailbox. Okay, another $100. And something here. She is so busy. And it's like it's my proudest moments. The projects now it's just Tuesday, it's just a job. My proud moments and the things that push me are my team. I
Mm.
want my team to be doing more than me, making more than me. I want them to feel as fulfilled as they possibly can, and that drives me. I wouldn't work as hard if it was just me,
Yeah.
which is, however it sounds to say it, it is.
Yeah.
I have them, and I get so much joy and fulfillment out of seeing them grow. And like, it's almost every day. Almost every day we could be on a job, and it could be four of us painting, and somebody just starts looking around, and I look, and she goes, "Can you believe this is my job? Can you believe we do this for a living?" We
That's
probably
cool.
say that every single day.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the coolest thing. And Meredith and Cheyenne, they're 18 years old, so this is a world that I wish I could have been in when I
At
was
18.
18.
Yeah.
I have an amazing
Do you think that's part of, like, why you're so passionate about, like, the team?
100%,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. Because and we all talk about it. We all talk I'm always open to meeting new artists. Some artists you meet and they might feel like a good fit at first. Things happen. Those
Mhm.
things will always happen in any business.
Yeah.
But we have this core family of the four of us right now. And then we
Mm.
have like probably another 10 that we have relationships with that still work on projects at time, but not really in a full time capacity, but still part of the family. And it's phenomenal. We have one artist, Mena. Mena is somebody that I met through a client, and she's mid-30s, so she's younger than me, but older in life. She had tried her hand in art and graphic design for many, many years, and she was doing it, but feeling like struggling artist. You're still trying
Mhm.
to really make it work. And while she's doing graphic design, and that was very fulfilling, her true passion is art, right? And then we connect, and now I've got murals galore. Please come paint with me. And now
Mhm.
she feels tremendously. So there's so many fulfilling things for me that like the younger girls, they have an avenue. Mena, she's in a position where I feel like I can give you this thing that you've been fighting hard for your whole life, and now we're here and we could do it together. And like,
Mhm.
so now when the four of us get together and we talk about, we're like, I don't know how other artists do this alone. Like, this is so much more fun together. Like,
Yeah.
it's possible you can keep the check. Mural money is nice money, and you can keep the check for yourself and work triply as hard. And that mural might take 4 weeks instead of one if you had a few people working on it. And
Mhm.
some people prefer to do that. We all decided we'd rather make a little less and do 10 times the
Do more,
amount, the
right.
quantity, and
Yeah.
do it together.
Yeah.
So when I'm a little down and I'm looking at this bird that I've been painting for 2 hours that just doesn't look right, and I look over at you, is like, is this done yet? And they're like, yes, please leave it alone. Whatever you're seeing, it
Mhm.
doesn't exist. Go away, go do something else.
Yeah.
And you have a backup, and you have people that are helping you grow. When I'm working on something that I don't know how to kind of work through or something like that, Men is super talented. She's done a lot of work. I can have her like, how do you do this? Like, how do I shade this thing and get this to look realistic? So we're like teaching each other.
Mm.
I never could have dreamed that when I quit my job in March of 2021 and had no idea where it was going, that it would turn into
To
this. And
this.
like, and I actually attribute BNI to it. So I started BNI during that crazy summer, that first crazy summer. And I started as Michelle Sasha Custom Art. and I had Cheyenne at the time, and my goal was just to keep building my business.
So were you just doing murals at that
Yeah,
time?
pretty
Okay.
much. I mean, there was some canvas work.
Okay.
It's not it's not, the thing that drives me as much. It's the big money, it's the big thing, it's
The
the
mural.
grand
Yeah.
murals. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool. Um, and so when I joined BNI in, I believe it was August or September, I had a couple conversations, and I'm in a big group with a lot of heavy hitters, and I just start looking around like, I wanna get like these guys, like, you start looking around, and I had a meeting with, Ford Keys. He runs Action Coach of Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah. I just
Yeah.
had Scott Bedell on
Yep,
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're really, really great,
Yeah.
and I had just an obligatory meeting with him to be like, to join the group, so it
Okay.
wasn't necessarily too focused. It was just him telling me a little bit what he does, and we were just having a cool conversation, and the moral of it was, I train business owners how to have a business that they don't have to work in, or that they can
Yeah.
sell and could still run, and I was like, "Wow." Well, my first thought, let me not say that. My first thought was, "Well, that's not me. I can't make money if I don't paint. How
Yeah.
do I make money if I don't paint?"
Yeah.
And then it started ringing over and over in my head what he was talking about, and then I see everybody else in every group every week. I'm, like, watching, and I'm like, and along this time, I'm meeting new artists. I'm meeting artists that have been doing murals for years and years and years, and I'm
By
growing. Yeah,
themselves.
by
Yeah.
themselves, and we're starting new, really great friendships, and these very experienced artists are coming to me and saying, "Okay, so how do I get as many murals as you got?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Why are you asking me? I don't know. I've like only just been doing this." And they're like, "Yeah, but you got a lot of work, and it's hard to find work. So how are you finding your work?" And sometimes they'll call and be like, "So I have a client that needs this. Like, how do you? I don't know how to sell it. How do you sell it?"
Ah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's
Yeah.
just work. I'm feeling like it's luck in the moment. In hindsight, it's my whole world coming together in this
Yeah.
sales, in this
Yeah.
everything, like working at Geico. Working at Geico, I was in a call center, and every call is recorded, and they call you off the call, and then they basically grade every single word you say. You could have taken this one word out, you could have shaved a couple seconds, and you could have it was like a boot camp for how to speak to people. I give a lot of credit to Geico and how they train, and again, while you're in it, it feels very boot campy, and it feels like very like, "Just let me do
Yeah.
my
Let
thing."
me talk to the people.
But they made me a communication monster. I
Mm.
can have conversations with almost anybody from any, walk of life, and it trained me to know how to effectively hear somebody and effectively respond and
Mhm.
effectively like take a conversation where it needs to go and things like that. So like even just working at Geico, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have that experience. I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
have those consults and communications the same way.
Which is crazy because if you would have started art out of school, you wouldn't have been able,
I'm a
you might
big
have been like one
believer
of those
in everything
starving
happens
artists.
for a
Yeah.
reason. Everything happens for a
That's so wild.
reason. The universe
Yeah.
led me down the path for a
Yeah.
reason, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. I'm happy to, a podcast like this. I mean, there's no greater joy to me than if just one person listens and they're like, "I love making pottery, but I could never do it." And I'm like, "Just go
Yeah.
do
Do
it.
it.
Just go do it.
Yeah.
Please go do it, or find a
Just
way
start.
to do it a little bit."
Yeah.
Just do it a little bit, and then you'll find ways to do it a little bit more and a little bit more, and then somebody will pay a little bit more, and then,
Mhm.
and just do it. So I never realized I was a person that needed to build people around me, or build, I didn't know that that was a thing of mine until I started feeling it,
Mhm.
and now I can't get enough. I
Yeah.
would scream it from the rooftops. I would, I'm doing art camp this summer because I'm thinking, okay, these little kids, I could teach little tidbits of how to draw or how to think. Maybe they'll remember it one day. I set up a bunch of art classes to do for adults and for teens. So I'm trying to touch as many artists as I can
Yeah.
appropriately
Yes.
and kindly and nicely, and all the things.
Yeah. Just
Um,
inspire them,
I
motivate
want to
them.
inspire them.
Yeah.
I want I if I, and listen, there's a part of it that I can't help but feel like, there's times where I say, well, I am far from the most talented artist. I mean, every artist I know around me, I think is far more talented than me.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you can get the equation of finding people that like your art, there could be a million people that are better than you, but if they like your art,
Yeah.
then focus on them.
Yeah.
And then if you could find, so it's really just about, I think that thought stops most artists,
Mm.
most people, most creatives. You can want to create any kind of business and like, oh, that's crazy. How am I going to get people to come in the front door? And
Yeah.
so anybody that just wants to
Yeah. I think
live their most
everybody goes
fulfilling
there.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody
Everybody, you
goes
can
there.
get in your own way
Yeah.
really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So last
Yeah.
question. What's like your bucket list mural?
Oof.
Do you have a building or like, like what comes to mind?
I had a my bucket list mural. Um, the first thing I'm thinking when you ask that is they just put out a call to artists for the water towers on 19 up by Countryside right here.
Oh.
I was passing those water towers for the past 2 years with Cheyenne, my assistant, in my front seat saying, "We're gonna paint those things one day. We're
Mm-hmm.
painting those. Look how big those things are. We're gonna paint them."
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get chosen. So it
Oh
was
no.
I just found out recently. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure whoever is chosen for it has a larger portfolio of proving to do things at that scale, and one day we'll be there. So I think
Yeah.
the thing for me, there's lots of really talented artists there. You know, the Vitale brothers, for example, in St. Pete they've been doing it since the 90s and they're in the
Wow.
books. You know, they do the biggest, grandest walls, and that's what I would love to do. I see other artists doing the side of, let's say, a 10-story high rise. We do the whole wall.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, that would be
Mm-hmm.
I want people to see it from far, far, far away.
Yeah.
That's what I want. So
So that's kind of like
that's the bucket list.
yeah,
I want the
just a
thing that you
big
could see
building.
from 5
Yeah.
miles away on the
Okay.
highway. That's what I want. The thing up in the sky that's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
That's
Yeah,
Michelle's.
I want it. Bring it on.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we got to do this, and thank you for having me. This was
Yeah.
awesome. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
It was fun learning about your business
Yeah, for
and just
sure.
your mindset, I think is it's so needed in
Yeah.
today's world and not just in the art community, but
Everything,
in
right?
in every community.
Well, I think and to tie a bow on it, that's what I mean when I say I wanna talk to everybody. I want everybody here
Mhm.
because it doesn't have to be art, it doesn't have to be creative, just like the thing that you love. Like,
Mhm.
I now am in a place where when I was in insurance, every decision I made was led by money. Okay, where am I
Mm.
gonna work? Where's gonna make me the most money? How can I make the quickest money? How am I gonna be able to have the highest ceiling? I no longer lead with money. I lead with happy. Like whatever will make me happy, that's what I do. And I know the money will come, whatever it is. And it's that giver's gain type of feel. If I give it out into the world will give it back. And I'm sure of it. And I keep proving it to myself. And sometimes you need the reassurance, but that's the
Mhm.
goal. That is my bow on top is lead with happy and you'll find your way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect way to end it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.